Hey, good afternoon, everyone. John with New York Metro Weather. Hope everyone is having a great Thursday. We're here to break down the first notable winter storm of the season for the New York City metro area. Expected to occur on Friday. Confidence has risen in the impacts and the timing and what to expect. And thanks for sticking with us over the last couple of days. We're going to dive into it and break it down and get into some of the nitty gritty with the snowfall forecast, and then let's just really just wait and see as the snow starts. So here's where we are right now this afternoon. The snow is really still back over the Tennessee Valley. You can see where modeling is saying the snow will be in another hour or two. Radar matches up with that, so we're all good. This is a pretty small, compact system. You'll notice that too. It's really not this big, enormous storm, but it is coming, and it will be snowing late tonight into Friday. So here's the simulation. You watch this move forward, and you'll notice that the tilt of this storm changes. Right here, it's more of a west to east, and then by tonight, it's getting on that southwest to northeast look, which is great if you will like snow in the New York City metro area and surrounding locations, because this storm is tilting and amplifying and moving up the coast. We talked yesterday about what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So here, this is about 10,000 feet above our heads, but this is the spin, vorticity in the atmosphere. And for a couple days, we talked about the possibility that this feature here across New England could almost act to compress the heights in the atmosphere and keep this storm out to sea, too weak and kind of flatten it. But what's happening instead is our storm is actually acting to push that out of the way. You'll see it right here. Here comes our disturbance later today, and watch this disturbance over New England kind of get pushed out of the way. And that's all because our system is amplifying and moving towards the coast. So we're highly confident that the storm is going to happen. We're highly confident that a low pressure system is going to develop off the coast. Now it's just about breaking down the real nitty gritty details of where the snow is going to end up. So here's what the storm looks like on Friday morning, that disturbance in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Again, if there's one thing to note, this is a quick storm. It's not going to be here for very long. It's kind of in and out. If we loop this whole thing, here it comes later today, and by tomorrow morning, it's already passing our area. It's going to be a quick hitter. So let's break down what the model suggests in regards to banding and what the precipitation is going to look like. So this is the HRRR model, a high-resolution short-term model. And this is valid at about 10 o'clock p.m. tonight. So you'll see we have this initial area of snow over Pennsylvania and the mid-Atlantic states, but our coastal storm hasn't formed yet. So while there may be some light snow in eastern PA and New Jersey creeping into southeastern New York late tonight, probably closer to 11 o'clock in the city and near the coast, not going to start just yet. That will occur as the coastal storm begins to redevelop, and this is valid at 3 o'clock a.m. So we start to get some more steady snow and heavy snow into the city by 3 o'clock a.m. And then by the time we get to 5 a.m., it's snowing moderately pretty much everywhere. That includes all of New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, southeast New York, and Connecticut into the, even parts of upstate is going to be kind of like a cutoff in the upstate New York area. But most of the area going to be snowing at 5 o'clock a.m., which means we're going to have a little bit of a nightmare of a commute on Friday morning. So we want to stress that. It doesn't look very good. Timing of this is not good for Friday morning's commute. Anyway, let's get into the details. We know it's going to snow. We know the storm is coming. What do the high-resolution models suggest in terms of where the snow bands are going to end up? So let's zoom into the New York City metro area and check it out. We have to look at where they're suggesting snow to be heaviest per hour. So if we look at 1 hour snowfall on these models, you'll see that at 5 o'clock a.m., this model is suggesting that we have a couple of bands of snow developing that are pretty heavy. I mean, this is showing 1 inch to 1.5 inches per hour rates. That's heavy snow, and it's one in central New Jersey, one here in eastern New Jersey. If you look at another model, the NAM model, the suggestion is that early on there's going to be 2 bands here, and we want to stress that because some people, when you get 2 bands of snow and you have an individual band develop, in between those 2 bands you can temporarily get lighter snow. So we're really going to have to figure out where these 2 bands are going to end up. It looks like there's going to be one in the interior here, one close to the coast. The NAM model suggests that eventually these two bands will coalesce over the New York City area, central and eastern New Jersey, Long Island, and then move off to the north and east, with the storm system beginning to wrap up by the time we get to about 9 o'clock in the morning in the New York City metro. So it's going to be a couple hours of moderate to heavy snow. One of the reasons we're really confident in that is something called frontogenesis. And we look at this map here, and I want to show you something a little technical, but we'll break it down. This is the NAM model showing you basically frontogenesis and vertical motion in the atmosphere. So essentially where the air is being lifted the most. And what we're seeing is there's a lot going on here. This is the atmosphere is sending a lot of air parcels upward, and what that means is that there's potential for very heavy snow in this banding. To go back to this model and look at this one more time, this makes sense because we see this area of heavy banding of heavy snow over the New York City area. So all the meteorology is making sense with this storm, and that that helps. That helps the confidence of the forecast. Zooming back out to New England and looking at the forecast one more time, we're going to run through the simulated radar and break it down. Again, I got to stress to you guys, this is a quick one. It's going to be in and out. So here we are around 3 a.m. The snow moves into the New York City metro, heaviest between 4, 5, and 6 a.m. across the entire area. And then it begins to wrap up by 7 and 8 a.m. from west to east, and by the time we get to the late morning hours, this thing is out of here, already moving into New England and towards the Gulf of Maine. So it's really an early to mid-morning snowstorm, and then it gets out of here. The general forecast consensus for this one, we've settled in on a range between 2 and 5 inches for a large majority of the area. The maximum amounts are near 6 inches for the New York City metro if we end up in one of those heavier snow bands. Again, it's going to come down to a couple miles where those bands set up and how they oscillate, and we'll have to figure that out as we get closer. The ceiling for this storm is a little higher in areas like Islip on Long Island and Hartford in Connecticut. They have a little more, they buy themselves a little more time being a little further east and northeast, and the possibility for between 6 and 7 inches maximum there, with their mean snowfall totals a little higher than areas everywhere else. But generally, this is a pretty solid 2 to 5 inch event in the New York City metro. And again, you're on the upper edge of that as you get closer to those snow bands and where those bands set up, and probably the lower edge of that if you end up in between snow bands as this storm rolls through. So again, the highlights. Just one more time to run it back through the simulated radar. We go into tonight, snow comes in from southwest to northeast, likely while most of us are asleep, between 2 and 3 a.m. Then the heaviest stuff is 5, 6 a.m. With those bands of heavy snow kind of coalescing over the area, and then things start to pull away between 7 and 9 a.m. If you are heading out tomorrow morning, your morning commute, you're traveling, flying, driving, whatever it might be, leave yourself plenty of extra time because the heavy snow is kind of timed right with when that morning commute really starts to pick up. If not, enjoy the snow from home, and we'll be back later tonight and into tomorrow morning with more updates as we prep for our first actual winter storm of the season in the New York City metro. Thanks for following along with us leading up to this one, guys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be with you throughout it all. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.